Okay, it's time for us to try out some meditation. It'll do you a lot of good. It takes a little time for that to take place and make you feel better and feel like you belong to something greater than yourself. Because by ourselves, our minds, we run crazy. I want to tell you about my story first. And I got sober in AA. I was sober a couple of years before I grasped this concept. And I was half nuts. I used to talk to my sponsor and said, I'm going crazy. I don't know what's going on. And my mind's always racing. I want to do this. I want to buy a new vehicle. I'm looking for a house, another house, and on and on and on and on. None of these things make you feel any better once you get the new house, the novelty wears off. You get the new girlfriend or the new boyfriend, the novelty wears off. It doesn't last. Um, so with that, I learned from a friend of mine, a big guy, one of my closest friends in AA, and he's about 6'4", 260, mean-looking guy, but a nice guy, and he was a sponsor for me. And I told him after a couple of years, I was talking to some of the old timers, and they said, "You started meditating?" And I said, "Yeah." They were doing it all along, and I just fought it. I fought it because I went to Catholic schools. They drilled God into me, Christ, Catholic Church, Sunday school, um, Holy Communion, all of it, and lived that way. My whole neighborhood was like that. Everybody was evolved around the church. I went to Catholic schools, had nuns for teachers, and I didn't want to know anything about God and meditation. And I did. And I started with an old timer that said to me, just, I want you to do this. Just go find a place where you can relax. Go relax. And I will tell you the same thing. This is what works. If you're having a tough time with the idea of this, just sit someplace very comfortably with no one around, maybe your dog or cat or whatever, but nobody around, no people, someone that's going to interfere or ask you a question. And just sit very comfortably in a comfortable chair and feel your feet in your shoes. Feel your feet in your shoes and feel how comfortable they are. Nobody ever thinks about this, how comfortable they feel sitting in a chair, feeling the gravity on the bottom of their feet, feeling how comfortable their hands are. And that's all you want to do is just relax. Get very comfortable in a chair and try to think about just your breathing. You want to breathe in and breathe out, and you want to feel your feet on the floor. This is enough to get started. So you can close your eyes and just think about your breathing. And your mind will travel right away. Within 15, 20 seconds, your mind's going to go on to something else. That's okay. You're just starting to do this, and it's okay. But you have to bring, every time you think of it, bring it back to your breathing, your own body, your own mind, your own soul, your feet, what you can feel in your hands, and focus on that just for as long as you can, quietly, completely relaxed. If you can manage to do this for 10 to 15 minutes, you're doing great. And don't worry about your mind wandering because it's going to do that anyways. It will. Your mind's just going to travel. What should I be doing right now? I can't remember. I can't forget to go to the store, but I can't remember what I was going to do after that. And I have to call John or Susan or Jimmy, make sure everything's going great, or What are we going to have for dinner? I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Your mind just travels. It just keeps going and it drives you crazy. None of it's important. None of it is important. All you are is a soul that's just trying to relax and enjoy this minute. Just enjoy this minute, this 5 minutes, this 10 minutes if you can get there. And do it with your eyes closed. You don't have to go to a high mountain somewhere and cross your legs and hold your fingers like this. You don't have to do that. In the beginning, these people are gurus. They spend hours meditating, and the benefit they will tell you is beyond anything you could even understand. And I understand that because I do that sometimes for a very long, lengthy time, and um, you feel better. You just start to feel better. Um, when I knew I was feeling better, it was a couple of months because this doesn't happen quick. And you may give up, but that's okay. You can just keep going back to it every now and then when you think of it, when you're feeling just grumpy, you're not happy, you get too much on your mind, you're worried, just go back to it. What I did is I noticed one day, and it took months, I said, I think this meditation is working because I'm not as worried or concerned or um, people and places didn't matter that much anymore. And I was more focused on me. I was more focused on me and what I should be doing. Let me give you an example. As far as peace and contentment, it started to show up. I started walking my dog instead of leaving him in the yard. And once I got sober, I said, "Man, I could take the dog for a walk up. The high school's right up the street, and behind the high school is a huge field and a pond. And um, at that point, I realized, this is very pleasant. And I realized that dog walking is not just for dogs. I was getting something out of it, seeing the pond, the frogs, the turtles, and the dog chasing a rabbit. It was pretty good, and I loved it. Um, with that, I sat on a bench after 10 or 15 minutes with my dog, and here comes a girl on her little Stingray white bicycle, young girl, and she's screaming in laughter. And she had her tassels on. The tassels were in the breeze, and she's going down this paved path almost right in front of me. I'm sitting on a bench with the dog, and she flies by, and right behind her is her father. He looked like a construction worker like myself, and he's running like crazy trying to catch trying to catch his daughter. And I have this overwhelming feeling of happiness, of content, of enjoying that one little moment. And I had no idea how to describe this to somebody at the time. And I said, that's the only thing that was on my mind. That was it. So that's the only thing that was on my mind. And meditation, I understand, and I've learned over the years that, people go to the beach, they go to a cottage or a cabin and, in a pond or in the woods for a walk. And I said, I didn't really understand that, but now I get it. This is for us. This is just a connection to the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. But it's connected to us. All this other stuff, all this other crap that we worry about, the job, getting a better job, getting a nicer car because my friend has one, that is nothing but ego. And that ego will eat you up. And as you get older, this happens with you too. You just enjoy so much of the little things in life. I've written a book about just this alone, on peace, contentment, and enjoying life to the fullest with what little you have. You don't need any more. There's many, many movie stars that have made millions and millions of dollars, and they've given it up. They've given it to charity. They're happy with what they have. They don't care about the new home, or they don't care about all this money they have and going to times to see other movie stars and get awards and all this nonsense. They get away from that, and they find their peace and contentment. And they realize, I mean, I have a list of them somewhere on my desk. They realize that this is not the true happiness. This is not it. You know, we live in a moment at a time. That's why meditation, if you can just bring yourself back to you, sitting in a chair and understanding that we're part of something that's much greater, you're going to feel a lot better. And just keep doing that. And I'm going to get into it more and more in the next video and the video after that. But for right now, it's just taking deep breaths, knowing you're breathing, you're alive. Pay attention to your hands on your lap and think about it. And your mind's going to wander. You're going to be thinking, I need a drink. My throat's dry. The phone's going to ring pretty soon because someone's going to call me. That's okay. You can do that. But eventually just keep coming back to yourself. Just come back to yourself and enjoy this one quiet moment alone. And if you continue to do that, you're going to feel this working in your life. And I will explain on the next video to get more and more in depth with meditation and what it can do for you, and how I woke up to this after a couple of years of sobriety. And it just, you get a life second to none if you can practice this. So if you stop living in your head, if you can get away from not living in your head, which is nothing but ego and nonsense and stuff that you do not have to worry about it. And sometimes we consciously know that. We know that it's just our mind running loose. It's normal. The 4,000 years ago, the man discovered this meditation, and 4,000 years ago, they didn't have much. They put buildings up with stone and wore sandals and warm places. And before India was India, 4,000 years ago, was where they discovered, the scientists had discovered that these people were meditating and found a massive use for this, for themselves. Some of the things that had been written in different places and different times. And what it is letting go of all the nonsense and all the ego we have. That's all we live for, is just nonsense. We are just part of something, a universe, or something much, much greater than us. Um, there's people that talk about, very intelligent people, that talk about their change from when they were younger to when they got a little older. And they couldn't describe it. And what was going on in their head was, there's got to be something better. And they find this meditation thing very naturally on their own sometimes. And it's like gold to them. And they try to explain it to somebody else, and they look at you like you got six heads. They don't want to hear from you. That was me years ago. That was me. I got sober 36 years ago. I didn't start meditating until I was good 2 years sober. And I really started to understand. And it was a man that was older than me at the time, much older than me at the time. And he lived on the streets. He was a wino. but a very, very smart man, and he discovered this on with his sponsor um, years before I knew he was a drunk. Anyways, if you can practice this, just take some time for yourself every day. Empty your head, sit still, focus on your breathing. You don't have to take deep breaths. You don't have to hold your hands together. You don't have to do anything. Just find a nice chair, be alone, and enjoy it, because that is the best part of a day. Thank you so much. This is Larry McDonald.